Let's talk about Social Security. What if the entire debate about how to save it is just wrong? Today, we're diving into a really different way of looking at it, not as an entitlement to be protected, but as an opportunity for real ownership that has somehow been lost.
So here's the question at the heart of it all. We spend so much energy talking about what to preserve in the current system, but what if we're asking the wrong question? What if we should be asking, what if we already given up?
To really get our heads around this, we're going to follow a thought experiment, and it all centers on one person. Let's call her Teresa. Her story is going to show us two completely different futures.
So let's start with part one, a tale of two futures. We'll begin with the one we all know, Teresa's life under the current reality of Social Security.
Okay, so here's Teresa. She's a crew member at McDonald's, makes about $30,000 a year, and does this for 40 years. And just like millions of us, every single paycheck, 6.2% of her wages go into Social Security, and her employer matches it. This is the deal. This is the system we have now. So after 4 decades of hard work, what's her retirement look like? Well, she gets $1,200 a month. Now, the argument here is that this is just enough to get by. It's a safety net for sure, but it's not exactly a ladder to a better life.
And here is the absolute gut punch of this scenario. When Teresa passes away, that money, it just stops. The checks are gone. All those years of contributions, all of that hard work, it all just vanishes with her. Her kids, they get nothing. No inheritance from all that effort.
But what if there was another way? Let's look at the second part of this story, the alternate path. This is a thought experiment about a completely different future for Teresa. So in this proposed system, it's actually pretty simple. Instead of going into a giant federal fund, those payroll taxes go into a private account with Teresa's name on it. It gets invested, and in this model, the source assumes a pretty modest 5% annual return. Now, it's really important to say this is a model, right? It doesn't account for market downturns or risk, but it's used to show the incredible power of compounding interest. So what does this change for her in retirement? Well, her monthly income is now $2,100. That's a huge jump from $1,200. It's the difference between just scraping by and having a comfortable retirement. But believe it or not, that's not even the biggest change. This is the game changer. In this version of the future, when Teresa dies, the money in our account doesn't disappear. It becomes an inheritance for her 2 daughters, $175,000. Think about that. A real financial legacy built from a lifetime of working at McDonald's. When you put the two paths side by side, it's kind of stunning. It's the same person, the same 40 years of work, the same exact contributions. But the outcomes? They couldn't be more different. One path is basically survival with no legacy. The other is a comfortable retirement and the start of real, generational wealth. So what's really going on here? What's the big idea that drives this massive difference? Well, it's not just about the math. It's about a fundamental economic principle, one we often miss, the unseen opportunity.
This principle is called the seen and the unseen. And the idea is that with any policy, you have the results you can easily see, that's the seen. But then you have all the hidden costs, all the things that didn't happen because of that policy, and that's the unseen.
So let's apply this to Teresa's story. The seen is that $1,200 check she gets every month. It's real. You can see it, you can cash it. But the unseen, that's the enormous nest egg that was never built. It's the power of compounding that never got to work its magic. It's the inheritance she was never able to leave for her children.
This quote from the source really sums up the whole philosophical argument. The idea is that the current system doesn't create progress from one generation to the next. Instead, it creates dependency, where each generation relies on the next to pay the bills.
And this idea isn't just about one person's retirement. The argument is that a shift like this would create a huge ripple effect, one that could transform not just families, but the entire economy. I mean, just look at the power of compounding here. Teresa's daughters get that $175,000. If one of them follows a similar life path, that initial inheritance, combined with her own savings, could explode into over $3 million. That one seed of capital completely changes the family's financial future. And remember, this isn't just about Teresa. To show how this could work for others, the source gives us another example, a middle-class worker named Jack. So Jack's a bit different. He's a middle-class guy who enters this proposed system in the middle of his career. By the time he's ready to retire, his account has over $1 million in it. He's a millionaire. His retirement income is higher than the current average, and the most important part? He owns it. It's his asset to manage, to live on, and to pass on. Now let's zoom out to the big picture. On a national level, the argument is that by shifting from a public promise to private ownership, a model like this could start to chip away at the government's more than $30 trillion in unfunded liabilities. So it's framed as a fix, not just for individuals, but for the country's entire financial health.
All of this brings us to the final, and maybe the most important question that this whole analysis raises. It forces us to step back from the policy details and think about what we really value. And this quote really lays out the choice in the starkest possible terms. Are we just deciding what retirees get each month? Or are we deciding what their kids will inherit? A system that acts as a burden, or a system that's built on a belief in their potential?
So at the end of the day, the source leaves us with this powerful idea. Maybe the most important inheritance isn't money at all. Maybe it's a system that has a quiet, compounding belief in our ability to build something for ourselves. And that leaves a big question for all of us. What do we really believe is the most valuable inheritance to pass on?